So what do you do when a world-renowned artist hands you a 4.3 billion year old stone and says, I'm going to need you to make this 3,000 times bigger and you're going to have to install it in one of the busiest areas of downtown Toronto? Stay tuned. This is the fable of the cat, the clock, and the rock. Check it out. We have a bit of a challenge here with this rock. I need to be able to capture these numbers and letters on it as they signify a big part of the art piece. It's really hard to get it exact, so my theory here is I'm going to be using a projector screen and I'm going to shine it on there and try to get things to scale. So wish me luck. So there's a few ways that I could have gone about this project. When I got the drawings, obviously they're leaving some stuff for interpretation. It was a clock on a rock with a cat next to it, which was great. The rock came from
Nuvvuagittuq.
Nuvvuagittuq.
No.
Nuvvuagittuq. Nuvvuagittuq.
Nuvvuagittuq.
Nuvvuagittuq, which is the green belt in the Hudson Bay area, and is from one of the oldest parts of the Earth's crust. It was ethically sourced, before you come at me in the comments, by a geologist named Jonathan O'Neill. I looked at it and we went back and forth. How are we going to do this? Do we want the dimensions to be as precise as possible, or do we want to lean more into realism? So that's when I thought, just lean right into that realism, because I think that's what the artist wants. Like, he's not asking for everything to be a perfect copy. He was asking for a translation, an interpretation, but at magnified form. To do that, you know, talking to him, I got the impression that Ryan really wanted it to feel like he was revealing something ancient. To reveal something ancient meant we had to go into the hyper-realism, and that's when I wanted to use panel. As people walk around the rock, I wanted them to see the realistic panel. So I started with that. We started with our bar and sort of getting our overall shape, and then we used a little bit of mapping to help us decide, you know, where our limits were. When it comes to panel, I still started with rebar for the face up against the rock, because I knew that that was going to be kind of my whole starting point and how we were going to be able to get the dimensions right for everything else. Picking the panels was a big deal, because one of our strengths, I feel, is that of all the panel molds that we have, they usually come from larger outcroppings that we take several panels from the same rock, and then therefore, even if we change the configuration, they always look like they were meant to be together because they were together. And that's kind of like a big thing I find with people that do panel. They go with one repetitive pattern, it just doesn't land. It doesn't land the same way. Once we had our angles together, that's when we have to make our marks and do our measurements and start cutting away the corner pieces that aren't going to fit with the overall shape. And then it was all about just blending the seams. You really are sort of having that artist's eye. You're getting your angles right with the panel, and you're, in a way, sculpting the overall shape. Okay, so we just finished the fiber coating. I think the shape really coming together. So very excited for my favorite stage of finish coat. That's how that looks right now.
Okay, what are you doing and why do you look like an alien?
We got our public art piece here, the cat and the clock rock, and we decided that since people are going to be all over it, and we wanted to make it extra sturdy strong, and we are going to spray the inside and make the whole thing one. I'm this way because that's not a whole lot of space over there, and I'm probably going to get covered, and this is all going to be gray after. So while we're reducing weight, we're still going to not compromise on any kind of strength, and no surprises, this is a good day.
What we get to do in this case is that we actually get to have the fiber coat on the outside and then encase the steel mesh from the inside as well. So it makes it ridiculously strong, and this way the stone will last the test of time. We got Jesse mixing here. We have our CF fiber.
A few hours later.
As the great redhead emerges from his captivity.
For the first time in hours.
Does everybody remember Ace Ventura?
Yeah.
Mommy! Oh, I need a chiropractor.
And we have benefits.
Oh, God. Oh.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. 2 thumbs sideways.
Once we put the cement on it, then it becomes its own structural shell. The steel is under there, it's still doing its thing, but each layer is structural so that the whole thing is rock solid.
Ha!
Another fun point that I had was with the scientific designation that went on the back. I mean, it brought some memories back about how my mom used to paint some murals, and I thought I would take some inspiration from her. I decided to grab my projector and that I would channel my mother's lessons that she taught me, helping with this piece. Big thing I learned when I was young, watching my mom. She used to do murals. It's a lot easier for her to put them on those old screens that we used to have, the teachers used to use in classrooms, where they would print their design onto a clear plastic sheet. She would just shine it on the wall, and that's how she'd get her blocking for her mural. So thank you, Mom. I think I'm also going to use this method to block out to scale where the colors go. So we'll see if that'll translate just as well. But you can see here where there's a break in the lighter coloring to the darker. So at the very least, as long as I can match the coloring, I'll know where to put it. If anybody asks, I freehanded this. So then I'm able to sort of tilt it and perfect it and mark it out on our rock at the same angle that it was on the original rock. I was kind of proud of that, to be honest.
It is finish coat day. Here we go.
Now we can have a little fun connecting the dots and starting to do our finish coat, and that's always a blast to be able to get that done and see things really start to get in the direction of the vision. Now we're getting excited. Now we're starting to think about our paint patterns.
I'm very happy with that.
It's time to paint, and that was a wild trip. I'm gonna be honest, in my career, I don't paint. I don't paint a lot. It always just was this thing that, you know, that was my mom's thing. She was so good. Nobody was better than my mom. I will argue that anywhere. There's nobody out there that was better at painting artificial rock than my mother. She brought things to life. She had geologists go up and say, holy smokes, this is a real rock. And it always felt like, I'm not gonna bother even trying, that's her thing. Patrick is not available to come paint this rock. He basically told me, you're baited. You can't keep doing this where you're not part of it. You don't want to get involved. There's nobody else. You got to do it. And that's pretty much how I started doing panel work. That's pretty much how I started doing rebar work. That's pretty much how I started doing finish coat work. Eventually there's just nobody else to do it, and you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to put your big boy pants on and you got to do it. Very proud of how it turned out. I love to retire as champion, but unfortunately I've had to paint a couple more things since then, including the Chelsea Wall project. Anyway, yeah, it was a great experience. A first for us at Rockscapes, and I guess I paint now.
Okay, other than selling this project, I've literally had nothing to do with this. I just wanted to admire with the rest of you how incredible this piece is. He did an incredible job. There's no way I could have done any better. Every part of it matches the real stone sitting right there to a T. Can't wait to get this outside and see it in the natural light. Really, that's awesome. And just for scale, like I'm 6'3". This thing is a giant rock. And not only because we had to mimic the real rock, but it's just so obvious on why artificial rock is needed in this world. And it drives me a little bit crazy when people question why it's a thing.
Very exciting. I hope I made Mom proud. Everybody seemed to love it. In fact, we had our own geologist as part of that team, and she came up and told me that it looked like a real rock. There you go. I think I made Mom proud. This rock up and take it to site through the downtown core. Some pretty tight experiences going down there, especially with the streetcars. Once we get there, everything's gonna be good. Now that we're here, the main thing is we have to lift this as seamlessly as possible. We don't want to do too many twisted turns on the pavers, so we're getting the guys at Lanterra to help us out. They're going to put down some plywood that they had so that we could drive very slowly and cautiously on that. I'm going to park right off of the street, and we're going to use this telehandler to lift our rock and place the rock, and there's going to be a lot of tiny adjustments. And that's just for the rock. Then we have the clock and the cat. I'd say it should be fun, but it's gonna be a day. Now that it's in place, we are able to anchor it in with our wedge anchors from the inside. That's why we left that hole in the side open. And now we're gonna button it up and go over it with our fiber coat. We're gonna go along the base of this thing with our fiber coat, because now we have a perfectly flat edge in the pedestal. And then we have to build this sections. They have to bulk out so that when you look sideways on it, and when they're going to put the clock on here, they don't want to be able to see these pieces of steel. So we're just going to break the rock out to like that. These guys still have to install their clock, and they have to install the cat. We're going to actually wrap this up because in between all the buildings, it is very cold. Okay, we've done our finish coat. We've tarped her up, and now we're just hoping our heater under there is going to keep it warm enough to cure. And back tomorrow to paint. Well, here we are on paint day, and you know, we tried to keep the heater on overnight, but of course, as Murphy's Law would have it, power went out to the entire room. So I think that it looks good enough, and we're definitely going to shoot our shot, but yeah, what are the chances? So Anyway, I'll turn you around. I'll show you what we got. So major challenge today is right along here. We actually have to get a pretty solid tape line going because we're using concrete stains. That's concrete. We don't want it to bleed. We want it to look solid, like a perfect rock. So a lot of this is gonna come down to how well we could protect it before we can even paint it. So that's what we're up to. Sun's shining, it's about time. Let's get to it. Well, sun has gone down. I think we blended it pretty good. So we've seated a couple different lights, but it's getting pretty cold now. So a long waits in between layers. I think we're done. I think we're ready to put the clock on it, see where the cat goes. But I think we're good. So we've done all we can for this rock. It's painted, it's looking great, which is a good thing too, because they are itching to put in the clock and the cat. Not to mention that Ryan is here and he's ready to present this thing to a whole crowded room full of people.
What did that mean to you, this rock? Why was it so special?
Well, a lot of my work's through time. And the ideas of chronos, kairos, and ideas of aios, the oldest form of time. It's just a funny thing with the way time works for me. You know, the idea that time is elastic, and scale is elastic, like Alice in Wonderland or something.
Why did you want it so supersized and it had small?
That's like the Alice in Wonderland thing. It might not be that the rock is large and the clock is large. It might be that we are tiny. So that has a lot to do with the perspective of the spectator or of the viewer. It's just we relate to everything around us in relation to the size that we know we are. I want them to feel, each of them to feel something completely.
Yeah.
So I don't have any preference. If 1 million people get to see it, and if those million people are all thinking the same thing, we're not very good at.
Really, this rock became the heart and soul of this whole project. It's literally meant to stop people in their tracks and really make you think about time, time's meaning, your time on this earth, and how a piece like this stands the test of time. I really like what they're doing with the creative writing students in that they just gave them the title, The Cat, the Clock, and the Rock, and then they each wrote their story about it without knowing anything beyond that. I thought that was really neat, kind of made me reflect on what the cat, the clock, and the rock meant to me, how small we are, and then obviously for me, how much we're able to accomplish and really create together. You know, some builds are fast, some builds are flashy. Every once in a while, one comes along that you know will still be there long after you. So truly honored. There's nothing but gracious to me. Very real, genuine guy. You know, world famous artist. He doesn't need to talk to me, but he took a lot of time with me and I really was grateful for it.
Incredibly realistic and incredible details. Like a magician has made it rather than a real human.
I was really proud of what we were able to present to Ryan. It's his vision. He's been dreaming of this for 5 years now. He was sitting on this. This has been in his brain for a long time, and I am just glad to be that one part of it. This was a fantastic collaborative process with the whole team. It wouldn't be right if I didn't give a shout out to all the people involved, including companies like Sahil Munson, who act as that collaborator and mediator between us and the artist group, Emily, Ryan, of course. There's so many people that played such an integral part, including the people at Lanterra that really helped during installation day. So I'm very grateful and honored to be on this project. So I couldn't be happier with how this went and how it turned out. Make sure if you like this content, you subscribe, check out our channel, share, leave a comment. Love to hear what you think. We're proud, we're grateful for the opportunity. We're Rock Inc. and we're ready. So on to the next.